Good evening, Super Horror family and guest, and welcome back to another bone-chilling episode of Whispers in the Dark. Tonight we'll be exploring the fearsome world where our wildest nightmares and harsh reality collide. We've all heard stories of cryptids like banshees, dogman, and Bigfoot, terrorizing campers. And as we listen, we imagine what we would do if we ever came face to face with such a monster. But the sad truth is, sometimes the most horrifying monsters are not the mythical creatures that lurk in the shadows. Instead, they're the very people who walk among us, hiding their sinister intentions behind a veil of normalcy. I really hope no one's camping while watching this. If you are, and you still want to watch, grab your sleeping bag and keep your lantern close as we uncover these horrifying accounts that will remind you that danger doesn't always come from the beasts of legend. Sometimes it comes from the person right beside you. The Klein Falls State Park Axeman. In the scorching summer of 1977, Terry Jentz and Avra Goldman, two adventurous undergraduates from Yale, embarked on an ambitious cross-country bicycling journey. On the night of July 22nd, they found themselves nestled in the desolate wilderness of Klein Falls State Park. Little did they know, this seemingly serene campsite would soon become the setting for an encounter with a bloodthirsty madman. As the moon cast its ghostly glow over the campsite, Jentz and Goldman were jolted from their peaceful slumber by the thunderous roar of a pickup truck tearing through the darkness. The monstrous machine plowed into their tent, ensnaring them in a nightmare they would never have imagined. At first, the two women believed this was a tragic accident, but what emerged from the twisted metal and dust would prove otherwise. A sinister figure, wearing a cowboy hat, stepped out from the shadows, wielding an axe. The Axeman mercilessly attacked Jentz and Goldman, leaving them bloodied and battered before retreating to his truck and vanishing into the darkness. Miraculously, both women clung to life. Jentz, summoning every ounce of strength, stumbled to a nearby road, desperate for help. A teenage couple, their hearts pounding with fear at the sight of Jentz, stopped their car and rushed to the scene. At the grisly scene, they tended to the wounded women. They spotted the glow of approaching headlights. The pickup truck had returned, its driver no doubt seeking to finish the heinous deed. But upon seeing that his victims were no longer alone, the Axeman fled into the night, evading the hands of justice. Jentz and Goldman were rushed to a hospital where they narrowly escaped the clutches of death. The ensuing investigation unearthed a prime suspect, Dick Dam, a notorious violent offender that was known for committing all manners of crime within the community. In 1995, while detained for an unrelated crime, Dam was interrogated about the Klein Falls State Park attack and subjected to 2 polygraph tests. Though he exhibited signs of deception, the results remained inconclusive due to the presence of illegal drugs in his system and the glaring lack of tangible evidence. To this day, the chilling specter of the Klein Falls State Park Axeman remains shrouded in mystery. Even if his identity is one day unveiled, the twisted hands of fate have ensured that he will forever elude the grasp of justice, as Oregon's statute of limitations for attempted murder has long since expired. A sinister camping trip. A farewell camping trip with a trusted friend should have been the perfect way to celebrate a promising future. But for 20-year-old Trevor Holminski, on the brink of beginning his military career with the Marine Corps, that weekend getaway would end in a nightmare that defies explanation. Trevor, an enthusiastic outdoorsman, and his best friend Sheldon Stewart ventured into the captivating wilderness for one final escapade in 2015. As they set up camp near the enchanting Bucks Lake in California, who could have imagined the horrors that awaited them? In the midst of a raging brush fire, firefighters stumbled across a gruesome scene. Sheldon Stewart, bloodied and barely conscious, claimed that his dear friend Trevor had attacked him after they consumed LSD, and Sheldon had rejected Trevor's romantic advances. The unsettling discovery of a charred corpse at the site of the fire sent shivers down the spines of the investigators. Was it possible that Trevor had viciously attacked his friend? And that his friend retaliated? As they looked deeper into the chilling mystery, the police found themselves questioning Stewart's story. The inconsistencies began to emerge. making his account of that night appear less plausible. The corpse in the fire was soon identified as none other than Trevor himself. Suddenly, Stewart's version of the events began to unravel. His injuries seemed far too superficial for a life-or-death struggle, and he eventually confessed that some of the wounds were self-inflicted, done in an effort to make himself appear innocent. Eventually, Stewart admitted to killing his friend, claiming that Trevor had begged him to put him out of his misery, which doesn't make sense for someone about to go into the military. Even if he was trying to get out, people get dishonorably discharged all the time. The truth about what happened that terrible drug-addled night may never fully come to light, leaving us in the dark about what caused this ultimate betrayal of friendship. But, even though we don't know exactly what happened, there was enough evidence to find Sheldon Stewart guilty of first-degree murder and arson. A horrible night in the Sigao Nature Preserve. Tent camping is a beloved pastime enjoyed by countless adventurers worldwide. It usually promises an escape to nature's tranquility, but sometimes the serenity of the great outdoors can be shattered by the darkest of human deeds. A chilling example unfolded in 2017 in Germany's picturesque Sigao Nature Preserve. Two unsuspecting campers, a 23-year-old woman and her 26-year-old companion, settled in for a peaceful night under the stars, unaware that their lives would soon be forever changed. As the night wore on, a malevolent force crept towards their fragile sanctuary. Eric X, a 31-year-old man whose last name remains a mystery, would emerge from the shadows and commit the most heinous of crimes. With speed and sinister precision, he sliced open their tent, dragged the woman out into the cold night. He pressed a saw menacingly against her throat, while she endured the unimaginable horror of being abused while her companion looked on, paralyzed and helpless. When the horrific event was finally over, the woman had miraculously survived. A determined manhunt ensued, ultimately leading to the capture of the heartless attacker. Despite his vehement denials, the damning evidence of his DNA was found at the crime scene and on the victim, sealing his fate. He was convicted and sentenced to 11 years and 6 months in prison. In a disturbing twist, Eric X would later attempt to end his own life in February 2018, setting fire to his jail cell bedding. He suffered severe burns in the process. Well, we've reached the end of another episode of Whispers in the Dark. Tonight's accounts remind me of a famous quote by Thomas Aquinas. If the highest aim of a captain were to preserve his ship, he would keep it in the port forever. What happened to these victims was not fair, but they were living their lives, enjoying the beautiful world around us. Please don't watch this and think you should lock yourself inside your room. Take calculated risk to do the things that bring you joy. And of course, be mindful. Sometimes the most horrifying monsters are the ones hiding in plain sight. And more sad, sometimes we may even be calling them friends. If you're brave enough to join us again for another episode, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to Super Horror Show, and click the notification bell so you don't miss out on any future scares. And if you have a story that you think would make a great addition to the Whispers in the Dark library, be sure to let me know in the comments below. We've recently been sent 2 stories. The important thing is to give me permission to share it and to let me know if it's a true story or fiction, so it doesn't get misrepresented. Until next time, make sure you take good care of yourself, because you are special, and I hope you sleep well. But, on this channel, sweet dreams are not guaranteed. Good night.